So, NPR and USA Today think that birth control belongs on your daughter's back to school list. A lot of us are in back to school mode right now, or, kids have just gotten started getting back into school. We're doing the doctor's physicals, the athletic physicals, all those things. And we're being told that to be healthy and safe for the new school year, our daughters need to be on birth control, right? It's on all these back to school lists in the media right now. NPR and USA Today are notable among them. The NPR segment that I recently listened to specifically was talking about young women headed off to college in states where abortion is now banned, doing things like getting Nexplanons. They actually even played a clip of a young woman in a campus health clinic, a high school campus health clinic, getting an Nexplanon in her arm. They played pan flute music over it and kind of described the procedure as you could hear it kind of muffled in the background. It was very kind of macabre and stomach turning, to be honest, and made out to be this like really empowering thing that this young woman was doing to be prepared to go off to college in Texas. She was currently getting the Nexplanon at her high school in California, because I guess they do things like that in high schools in California. So yeah, we're seeing not only NPR but USA Today is in on the fun, telling us that your daughter needs birth control on her back to school list, and it's just ironic because at the same time the USA Today list in particular says that your daughter needs birth control on her back to school list. They also say that you basically need to have a mental health professional on speed dial, seemingly not making any kind of connection between the fact that there's a really well established effect in teen girls of mental health issues when they're on hormonal birth control. Doesn't matter if it's the O pill that's going to be over the counter soon, progestin only, or combined, if it's an implant with hormones. We know that there are mental health issues associated with hormonal birth control, and that in particular, they're much worse for teen girls than they are for adult women, to the point that like some adult women can discontinue using hormonal birth control and their risk for depression, suicidality, anxiety goes away. Teen girls who start it, even if they discontinue using it, their risk for depression, anxiety stays elevated above what it would have been had they never started birth control. So kind of ironic that USA Today on their back to school list for your daughter included both birth control and a mental health professional's contact details. I don't think they made the connection there themselves. So yeah, I've been kind of aghast. Like my daughters are really young, not, thinking about, none of these things are on my radar quite yet, except in the work that I do in natural womanhood, and knowing that these issues loom really large for a lot of parents out there, parents of preteens, parents of teen girls, especially during this like back to school time, right? When we're doing all the checkups and the physicals and all that sort of thing. It just kind of blows me away that we're living in a day and age where these mainstream media outlets are making these back to school lists that include birth control. And honestly, I think the best thing you could do for your daughter, for her success and health and well-being in the new school year, is to keep birth control as far away from her, keep it as far away from her as possible. Don't send her to school with birth control in her backpack, please. Educate yourself on all of the different ways that it's going to impact not only her mental health, but her physical health. I mean, girls on birth control don't cycle. I mean, it goes for women too. But when you have a developing body, you need to be cycling. Like, you need to be laying down proper bone density. That only happens when you cycle, y'all. You need to ovulate to build bone density. Young girls need it for proper brain development. We need it for proper immunological development. Our reproductive tracts don't develop the same way when our cycles are not happening. I mean, that should be a no-brainer, right? But for some reason, it's not for a lot of people. And that's because doctors don't even really seem to make this connection a lot of the time. But that's why we're here in Natural Womanhood. That's why I'm doing this live. That's why we do our Mothers of Preteens program. That's why we're doing our cycle mindfulness clubs on college campuses. We want more girls, young women, moms to be aware of this information. We want you to know that just because NPR is telling you that your daughter needs to have birth control to go back to school this year, that you don't have to listen. You can think for yourself. You can know the reality of what birth control does to young women. And just even beyond the physical effects, right? The thing that really struck me about the NPR piece, the bit, whatever, segment, I guess, on there, it was an All Things Considered segment, was that they had the nurse practitioner talking to the teen girl in the background. And you could hear her say, "So the guy that you've been talking to, you still talking to him?" And then the host of the segment goes, "Talking is adolescent speak for who you're having sex with." And so then you hear the nurse practitioner say, "So are you still talking to that same guy?" "Oh, okay. And the girl says, "Yeah, and he's going off to school with me. So, that's why I'm here. I need some reliable birth control." And the nurse practitioner had said, "So you were on again and off again and on again and off again." And the girl said, "Yeah, well, it's on because we're going to the same place." And so then the nurse practitioner says, "Okay, well, let's get you an Nexplanon." There's no like deeper conversation there with this young girl who's just admitted to having this like on again, off again sexual relationship with a guy that she's going to school with currently, which apparently would have been off again, except that they're going to be at the same school next year in Texas. So, because she's going to be in close proximity to him, their, quote unquote relationship is still going to be on. What would have been the more caring thing? What would have, taken more time rather, to do with that young girl instead of, pumping her up with an Nexplanon in her arm right away? It would have been to develop something more of a relationship with her, to sit and say, well, if it was going to be off just because you weren't going to the same school, does that say something about his commitment to you? Is this someone that you should be having a physical relationship with, if just your proximity is the determinant of what your relationship is like? Just something other than just ensuring that she could remain essentially sexually available to this guy with whom she's been sleeping on and off. But apparently that was the most important thing, that she could remain sexually available. And so we gave her the Nexplanon, right? And sent her on her merry way to Texas, where they don't allow abortions. So we have to make sure we pump up girls with hormones to prevent them from getting pregnant. Here, I'm in Texas, for those of you who don't know. So yeah, just so many issues with making young girls, making their parents think that in order to be happy and healthy for the school year, that birth control is a requirement. It's a back to school must, right? Just so many issues there. And I talked about them on Catholic Connection with Teresa Tomeo earlier last week. I have an article in the Federalist about it as of this Monday. And I just really want parents and teen girls to sit up and ask some questions like, why am I being told that I need this to be happy and healthy for the school year? What does that say about how people view me and my ability to conduct myself with dignity and respect, and to know that I deserve that? So that's a big part of what we do here at Natural Womanhood, obviously, is just getting women to understand their dignity, getting young girls to understand that they have infinite value and worth apart from the feelings that they can excite in other people, apart from their ability to be sexually available to other people, just because they're who's around you at the time. So if anything I'm saying is resonating to any of you listening today, and thank you for those, I see you, who've logged into this live session. and you're just really wondering, craving how you can be a part of our movement and just kind of correcting some of these crazy messages in the culture that we're receiving as women, that our daughters are receiving, just go to Natural Womanhood. Please sign up for our newsletter. You'll hear about all this stuff in our newsletter every week. Check out our Mothers of Preteens program if you've got a preteen or teen daughter. We've had moms who have done it with their daughters as young as 8 now, I think, and have even had their older teen girls do it with them, 17-year-olds, who've said, wow, I really wish I'd had this when I was 8 years old and known the truth about my body so much earlier on. So I encourage you to go check all that out, naturalwomanhood.org, our newsletter, our Mothers of Preteens program. And if you're a college student listening to this or have a college-age daughter, send us a note about our cycle mindfulness clubs. If you are interested in hearing more about that, we can share that information with you and where to find those clubs. There might be one on your campus. We have 9 of them now this year, which is really exciting. So thanks again for tuning in, for hearing my updates on the world of women's health. And we'll check in again soon.